Sellers, the days of throwing any price out there and getting multiple offers is gone. And for you buyers, right now you've got more leverage and negotiating power than you've had in almost 10 years. Right now we're seeing homes with an average price of around $400,000 negotiated down almost $8,000 off that listing price. This is a battle of the sellers against the buyers, and who's got that advantage. I recently had the opportunity to analyze over 1,100 homes that sold here in Fort Bend County in the month of May. And while the results didn't surprise me, really breaking down and understanding the story that it's telling was what was surprising. So let's just give you a little bit of an example. So while the buyers have gained a ton of negotiating and leverage in this market, homes are selling, the median home is still selling in 25 days. That's huge. How buyers have so much power, but those homes still selling so quickly. So we're going to break that down. We're going to go into a little bit more detail here. And we're going to start off by giving you a couple of numbers that are really, really important here. But before we get into that, let's also talk about what we're seeing. We're going to be talking about some new builds and the builders and what they're doing to the market and how they're really, really affecting that. And of course, who's going to have that bigger advantage. Hey everybody, my name's Norbert Rivera. I am your real estate consultant here for Fort Bend County, and we've helped hundreds of families here in Fort Bend County find that right perfect home for them or sell their home to get into their next step of life. And we're here to help you and be that resource for you. So if you want any more information, go ahead and drop a comment or hit that like button. We're going to be here for you each and every step of your journey. But let's jump right into this and see what's happening for you. All right, so let's talk big picture. The month of May, 1,106 homes sold throughout all of Fort Bend County. That median sales price was $395,000. That's right, $395,000. The median home also sold in just 25 days. So that's something to keep in mind. And we talked about that just a few minutes earlier. The average size of the house, 2,604 square feet. One of the most important statistics in this report is the sales to list ratio. That's where that 98.1% came in. That means that if you've got your average home at $400,000, that was negotiated down around $8,000 on average. And so that's where we're seeing that 98.1%. And of course, it goes up and goes down depending on that list price. But what does this mean? That means that for you sellers that are trying to sell your home, you have to be priced well. You have to be priced right. That day of throwing out a 10% over list price or 5% over list price and expecting to get multiple offers, those days are gone. They don't exist anymore. Buyers, this is your leverage. This is your time to get in and get a great deal. So right now, what we're seeing right now, you're seeing the most activity between the $250,000 and $500,000 price range. Out of those 1,106 homes that sold, 655 homes occurred in that price point. That's nearly 60% of the entire home sold was in that range. That's huge, and you got to keep that in mind once we start talking about the location and where those are. Now, first-time home buyers, relocating buyers, you're probably going to be here. Understand that means also more competition, more buyers are looking in that price point as well. Now, where are these sales happening? Well, Richmond has been king over the last 3 to 4 months. So we saw it leading again with 223 sales in the city of Richmond. Right behind that was Fulshear with 183 homes. Katy right behind that with 176. Missouri City 153. Sugar Land 122 homes. And Rosenberg with 89 sales. That growth story continues to move west and southwest as buyers are looking for newer homes or new homes. All that is being built out here. And I can tell you, we've seen tens of thousands of homes being announced almost every week. There's a new subdivision that's coming. Who's commanding the best prices? Now, that's a great question to ask because traditionally it has been Sugar Land, and they are still at that number one spot with the median sales price at $547,000. Katy's right behind that at $504,000. We see Fulshear came in at $465,000. Missouri City had an average of right at $400,000. Richmond, while they lead with the most amount of sales, that median price point was $375,000, and Rosenberg rounded that up with $355,000. So buyers, if you're looking for affordability or maybe that great deal, take a look at the Richmond Rosenberg area. That's going to offer you a ton of value. It's going to be right close to 59, depending on where you're looking at, and that's going to offer you so many amenities that are still being built and coming up. You're going to be in the hub of something really special in the next couple of years. Now let's talk speed. One of the questions I get asked most is, how long is it going to take to sell my house? And while we can't guarantee anything, we've got some really interesting data here. So let's take a look. The median house in Katy sold in just 13 days. That's really quick, under 2 weeks. Sugar Land right behind that at 19 days. Richmond averaged 28 days. Rosenberg and Missouri City are at 31 days, and Fulshear came in at 34 days. Look, that's barely, even for Fulshear, barely over a month. Things are happening quickly if you price the home right, and it is in great condition. I can't stress those two factors to you. So many of my buyers, when they walk in, they know if it's not looking great, they've got other options, and it is going to be looking great there. So keep that in mind, that buyers, while you do have leverage, okay, you've got leverage, you've got some negotiating room here, you've got other demand coming in from other buyers. So keep that in mind as you are doing your searches. All right, hey, let's talk about the builder effect, because this is really a real number here, and you've got to keep this in mind. Sellers, if you're going to be selling against builders, pay attention to this. Out of the 1,106 homes that sold, 392 of those were new construction. That's more than 35% of all transactions. Now, that does not take into consideration how many homes, when people come into a new community, they sit down with the sales counselor, they sign a contract to build a home from the ground up. Most of those homes are not going into the MLS, so they're not even represented in here. So you got to understand that number is even bigger than what's reflected here. Other things to take in mind: builders are offering incentives, crazy incentives. We're seeing things at low interest rates of 4.99. We're seeing things at interest rate buy downs. We're seeing huge amounts of $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 off that price. I saw one builder even offering a house below their cost, so they're losing money on that house. These are things you got to keep in mind if you're selling your house, and how that's going to affect you and how that's going to look to that buyer. Hey, another major factor is going to be the schools and the school districts. The fastest growing school district out here is Lamar Consolidated, LCISD. Now, when I went to school here, we had 2 high schools. Right now, they're planning for number 8 with the plan of going up to number of 13 different high schools. That's a huge growth in just around 25, 26 years. So got to keep that in mind. We're seeing massive growth here in the Fort Bend County area. Right now, 448 of those sales that happened in May went to schools where Lamar Consolidated was at. Now, Fort Bend ISD just had some rezoning that just happened this past year, and 421 of those sales went to that school. And Katy rounded up the bottom number with 177 homes in that Katy ISD. So keep that in mind. Schools are going to be so important, especially if you've got families coming in. People are sometimes moving just specifically for school. So keep that in mind, as if you're a seller, where does your school go to? All right, so let's finish this up and let's bring this around. Who has the edge right now? Well, that's going to be depending on where you're at, how much you're selling for, and if you're a buyer and seller. So the true answer is it's going to be both of you. Buyers have more negotiating power than they have been, but if you're in the right market and you're a seller, your homes are moving quickly, and you've got a lot of buyers looking at your home. So keep that in mind. I'm going to say that's going to be a tie. This isn't a buyer's market in every part of the county, but there are some areas where it is. That Richmond-Rosenberg area, we're seeing those prices, at the lower end of the price point here, and that means that sellers, you've got to make sure your home is priced correctly. This is not the market to test it. This is not the market to say, I want to get this, I know my house is worth, because the buyers are thinking differently. So let's just talk about this. If you're looking to come into the area, buy, sell, just maybe make a change, There's so much things happening out here in Fort Bend County, so much new construction. You need to know how to price your home if you're selling. If you're a buyer, you need to know where you can get that right deal. Let me just give you one last example. I'm sitting in a community here where I know that 5 miles away, if that, they've got the same exact homes they're building here, over there for $100,000 more. It's 3 to 5 miles away. That's going to make a difference for that buyer, and that's going to make a huge difference for your monthly payments. So there's so many things that come down to knowing the area and what those offer for you. So make sure that you partner up either with us, we'd love to work with you, or have that right real estate professional that can help you find those areas, because finding the right home in this market is going to be key for the next 10 years. So everybody, we hope you enjoyed this information and found it valuable. If you've got any more questions specifically about any towns, neighborhoods, or just overall what's happening in the market, let us know. Drop a comment. We'd love to help you out. Everybody, y'all take care, and we'll see you on the next one.